Welcome Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of the Netflix original, Ozark. This one took me a while, I know. Okay, so I moved again. We're in a new place now, but now we can get back to, what's important in life. Ozark tells the story of the Byrde family. Marty Byrde has been laundering money for a drug cartel for quite some time now and has made a lot of money in the process, but eventually something goes wrong because of course it does. The guy from the cartel gets pissed, people start dying, and Marty and his family have to move out of their home in Chicago to the Ozarks. At this point, they're not really running from the cartel. Marty has to prove his usefulness to them, and he also has to launder a whole bunch of money. In the process, they also get mixed up with some local threats, and things obviously don't go smoothly. Ozark is a family crime drama. It's a crime drama about how this family deals with an incredibly difficult situation. It focuses on the how, the things that Marty and Wendy and the kids have to do in order to navigate this situation and the unfolding of events, but the show also takes the time to show us the strain it puts on their relationship, what it does to the kids, and what it does to whatever's left of Marty and Wendy's marriage. There isn't really a plot point or character or any one individual thing in Ozark that you haven't seen before. Ozark is like this beautiful amalgamation of crime drama things. I do think that sometimes they lean a little too much into these concepts and tropes, but all in all, even if Ozark does things that other stories have done before, it still does them very well. I heard some criticism that Ozark rips off Breaking Bad, but I really don't agree with that. There is a drug lord, there is a white guy who works in a normal job that has to do some messed up things, but these are the types of similarities that you can make between any two shows of similar genres to make them sound exactly the same. I felt like Ozark draws heavily from crime drama tropes, a lot of them and sometimes too much, but I didn't feel it was ripping off anything blatantly. My favorite thing about this show was the story. I thought it was strong and coherent, and even when it gets more complicated, it's always focused. It's always clear that all parts of the story are connected. Most of the characters are pretty great as well. We get a lot of insight into Marty's character specifically. We get to know him pretty well, the appearances he keeps and the small moments in which he breaks down. My least favorite characters in this show are the villains. Not to say that they weren't good, they were actually pretty great, but they were definitely the most generic part of the show. The old and tired trope of a bad guy telling a story that tells you a little bit about the character while also threatening the protagonist, like the hero walks in and the villain is like chopping wood or sharpening a blade or something, and he's like, "My father was a mean drunk. He'd always get this look in his eye, and whenever I saw it, I knew that whatever, main takeaway, get me my money or I'm gonna fuck you up." The show does this very well. The bad guys are menacing, but they do this pretty much in every scene they're in, and I feel that this is one trope they could have stayed away from. So Ozark to me felt like a very strong story supported by characters who mostly make a lot of sense and have pretty complicated relationships with one another, with familiar crime drama concepts kind of sprinkled on top. I really enjoyed this show. Kind of like Goliath, it's an example of a concept that you've seen before, just done very well. Something else I appreciated is that this season is not just a setup for another season. Season 1 of a show is often just something that puts all the pieces in place for the real story. But it doesn't feel like that here. There's just the necessary amount of setup in the last episode, but the season as a whole tells a strong and interesting story. Even if this doesn't get picked up for season 2, which I'm pretty sure it will, I'm still glad I watched it. Ozark is very good at telling you a few stories all at once and showing us how those stories connect. There's a story about a local family, something about an FBI agent, the whole drug thing, Marty and Wendy's marriage, as well as a few other interesting side characters, but all of it connects. There weren't a lot of things where I felt were, out of place or just didn't make sense. I do have one spoilery thing I want to say about this, but I'm gonna say that at the very end of the video. So bottom line, should you watch it? If you enjoy crime dramas and the story about this family getting mixed up with a cartel sounds interesting to you, then yes, I think you'll like this show. I actually think you'll like it a lot. While it's not groundbreaking, I wouldn't call this show unique. I think it's very good at what it does. It has a very talented cast. It looks absolutely beautiful. It tells a compelling story about interesting characters in a very difficult situation. It does rely a bit too much on things you've seen before, but when it does those things, they do it very well. Like I said earlier, it's like they took elements from other similar stories and stuck them all together to create a very solid product. I feel season 2 can go a number of different ways. I am very much looking forward to it. But for me, with most shows, I have to get to a place where I feel that, okay, I am now a fan of this show. I am invested. And then from that point onward, if a character dies or something, I no longer see it as a decision of the writers to do something. And do I like that they did that, or maybe I don't like it? No, I can just be shocked or, have the emotion about the character dying. So I'm not quite there with Ozark, but I'm close. What about you? Have you watched Ozark? What were your thoughts about it? And what's your favorite crime drama? And now for the spoilery thing I wanted to say, and it's a pretty minor thing, and it's not even gonna make sense to you if you haven't watched the show. Ready? That baby is dead as fuck, or at least brain damaged forever. There's no way a baby that was born like yesterday survives that, I think. If you're gonna be talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TV Time. There are links below. You can also join our Discord server where we chat about TV, and it's a lot of fun. But if you're finding binge watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the binge watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you in the Ozarks.